How's it going, everybody? I am Donut. This is, of course, a Black Lives Matter, all cops are bastards, and trans rights supporting channel. If you're not supporting that shit, get the fuck off this channel. This is Squid Game Season 1, Episode 6 already. It is, I believe, Gganbu is the name of this episode. Don't know what that means. I'm assuming it's a Korean word. Maybe it's a game. We'll see. Let's get into it. And if you want to get the full length, check it out on the Patreon below, $4 a month. If you want to get early access a couple episodes ahead, I move up to the penultimate episode. You can get that on the Patreon below, so go check that out. Alright, let's jump into this episode. I think I need to start keeping a box of tissues next to my computer for when I'm recording. This is becoming a reoccurring thing across the entirety of my channel. I really need a box of tissues next to me so I can stop using my shirt in the middle of reactions to wipe my face. But it keeps happening and I keep not doing it. I just gotta get a box of tissues, damn it. But, man, I will say I certainly think this episode... Oh, my dog's trying to get in the goddamn room. But yeah, I think this is honestly the most I've cried in a death game. And also, god damn it, during the whole fucking reaction, but I just noticed my fucking camera still has the autofocus on. I have to turn it off every goddamn time, and it doesn't stick. Why does it not stick? Back to what I was saying, I think I've cried, harder during this than I have during any other death game, other than, maybe at the end of an extremely long series, just because I always cry a bunch at the end of an extremely long series, just because I've gotten so attached to the series and the characters and everything, and now it's ending. But aside from that sort of thing, where it's just, a moment in the series that makes me cry, I think this is honestly beating out most other death game series. I cry a fuckload in a lot of stuff, but when it comes to death games, a lot of the characters are usually very caricature-y, and, a lot of the death-type stuff is happening quickly or unexpectedly. And this one really, really built it up. I mean, one, it was very obvious to me from episodes and episodes and episodes ago which characters were going to be lasting a long time and which ones were going to be, getting killed off a little bit earlier. And so, I said way back when, Ollie was probably going to be the first one to go. I predicted that. And then, the old man as well, I thought he was going to be sticking around for a lot longer, but I also thought he was going to be the next one to go before, obviously, Ji-Hyun and Sung-woo. So, it got that. Then we had the new girl introduced. I didn't, predict her death or anything like that, but, in this episode, it was clear, once we got that reveal, which one, man, that twist. Man, that twist. Excellently done. Incredibly well done. Way to make me go from, okay, this is going to be a really fun, I was about to say, I think I even did say to my reaction, but this is the fourth game in a row in which I've been alright, now this game, people are going to have to die. We're going to start killing off our main cast in this one. And then we get to reveal what the game is, and I go, oh, okay, never mind, it's a team task. Never mind. And this is the same sort of thing I felt in this one. When we were in the White Room, it's a team task. It's two people, and I'm like, okay, some people are going to get killed off here. And then with the teams, it was oh, okay, maybe not. But no, and I'm surprised the VIPs are coming for the next game, because this one is what I would want to see if I was some rich asshole who invested a bunch of money in this and wanted to watch this. This is what you want. You get them to team up in teams of two, so obviously they're going to pick the people that they trust the most, and then you're going to make them kill them. Holy fuck, that is the quintessential death game. That is terrible. That is a nightmare scenario. Holy shit. Truly, I don't know how they're going to top that, because that is the perfect death game scenario. And it got me hard on that twist. Man, I was up here with this is going to be super duper fun. We're working together now. We're going to be Gganbu. We're going to take out these other teams. And there's, enough people where it's yeah, we're going to be taking out some teams, and we can still have our teams left over and not have to worry about, fighting off on teams of people we know. And that's what I thought, but boy, was I wrong. And, man, Also, just really quickly, but while I'm still remembering this, I hope, like, I'm not I hope, I know we're going to get it, but I can't wait to see the fallout of like what happened with the couple. What happened with the two guys who were on our team. If I'm gonna predict that, I'm gonna predict that religious guy was canned out of there, dead, and the other guy survived. The other person who of no consequence, just random other person. But I think I have them written down in my notes as like the nose piercing girl, Ollie's pick, other dude, other dude. I mean, now one of them should be religious dude, I guess. But yeah, they're just other dude, other dude. And I didn't see who's Ollie's pick teamed up with, but man, like for knowing what's gonna happen the whole episode, you know where you're going. I mean, if you have any amount of like gaming the system and knowing how writing works, I feel like you know what the fuck's gonna happen. But that is what makes it so much sadder, made me cry over it. And that again, most other death games happens very unexpectedly, happens very quick, happens very like, there's a bunch of people and they're all just characterized, but not like given a ton of in-depth characterization and stuff like that, and really intricacies to their character and stuff. And so, you can go like, well, anybody can die at any point, except for the main character. And like, that's, how I feel most death games. So like, anybody could die at any moment. Whereas this felt like okay, these people can't die because these characters are too fucking good, and how are you going to kill off this character? Like, it's like the feeling I got only from like, like, especially later Walking Dead, of like, at this point, just killing off characters, means nothing because the show's going on so long. So you have to give them tons and tons and tons and tons of character development over a long period of time, and then kill them off, and that is impactful. Versus and that is exactly what this is doing as well. Of the you overload with character. You give them so much character, so much backstory, family ties, and interpersonal relationships between everybody here. And like, you see them go through game after game after game, and downtime after downtime after downtime, and then you get to see them kill off. And it feels so much more like you are. Like, it doesn't feel like a death game character getting killed off. It does feel like a character from any show getting killed off. And that is very hard to do, honestly. Like, I say that and it's like, yeah, obviously. But, I mean, that's difficult to do. It's very rarely have death games done that, especially when a lot of death games spend a lot more time on each game. And so then you have the problem of like, well, if we're spending chapter after chapter after chapter on one game, and then, we're going to go through a certain number of games in the whole thing, how do you get people through all those games without like, right up to the end everybody dies? And this is a good, like, not halfway, a little bit after halfway, but still a pretty good spot to have a lot of these characters get killed off. There's some stuff I've seen like this, but like very, very little comes close to this, and it's very rarely that I would call them explicitly death games. Like, so props, commend, big emotions. The man, I just can't get over how excited I was for Jihoon and Ilhan to be Gganbu together, and then for that to just get absolutely turned on its head, fucked up, and we have Sungwoo, who is manipulating Ollie into getting all of his marbles. And then we also, like, that seems shitty. That's like, oh my god, how the fuck could you do this? You are the worst person ever. I can't believe... He was going so much with the game, and then once he had one marble, he completely flipped. Like, I thought he might be doing a big, like, not losing on purpose, but coming to terms with, okay, this is my lot, I'm going to leave off here, and Ollie has a more important, life that he needs to attend to than I do. But no, he did not have, like, contrasting Sungwoo with Jiyeon, I think was her name. Absolutely perfectly done, with her being so self-sacrificial and also Ilnan as well, being both of them so sacrificial of, here's my marble, or like just dropping it, or here's my marble, and bowing out and saying, you should go on, I'm at the end of my rope here, let's call it, I want you go ahead. And for Sungwoo to be like, no, absolutely not. How dare you kill me, Ollie? Ollie, how dare you kill me? And putting that all on him. And again, they've had the closest relationship between the two of them. Sungwoo was the one who I was like, he's going to backstab everybody. He's willing to let everybody here die. But Ollie was the one where I was like, I don't know, maybe not him. Maybe not him. Maybe that's the one person that he fully trusts and will look out for. But no, even that, he was willing to stab in the back. So, going into our next couple games, and again, we keep doing this thing where nobody really knows how bad he is. You know, it's not like that's a big problem I have in a lot of other death games, is when you have a really shitty person, and everybody knows how bad they are, but they don't do anything about it anyway. And it's not like, oh, they're on our team. It's just like, hey, they're in this death game, and we're just going to not do anything about it. And a lot of times it is the like, oh, because they're super edgy, they're the best at these games, and I hate that. Like, I think it's very, very good that Deoksu is not the best at any of these games. Like, he is getting himself through, and he is a powerhouse, but he's not, like, the end-all be-all. He's not, like, the gamer god, you know? If anything, the gamer god's the old man. The old man, the only reason he lost is because he was manipulated. He's always been, I mean, except for the honeycombs. He did win the honeycombs because of Ji-hoon, so that's something to note. But for the most part, I would say Elnon, he is definitely the gamer god, or he was. And yeah, having again the thing of like Ollie doesn't know how to play any marble games, or oh boy, let me just figure out what her name was real quick, so I don't keep getting it wrong. If I was getting it wrong, okay, yeah, so it was Ji-young. So, but yeah, she was as well, like, I mean, both of them actually didn't know any marble games either. And not even just because they, like, oh, I mean, like, they both grew up in Korea's, but, you know, it's the boomer game, you know? These two are extremely young. They probably are the youngest two here. Like, even Ali was pretty damn young, but not that young. And so, yo, they've never played any of these fucking boomer games. I'm not sure about how many of them they've even played. Like, have they ever played Red Light, Green Light? Who fucking knows? You know, have they ever played the honeycombs? Probably not. Like, they are just kind of like seeing what other people are doing and being like, well, okay, let's do that. Tug of War, I feel like, is universal. That's just like, you know, you might not know it as what it is exactly, but like with all the people in the rope and everything like that. But Tug of War, it's very easy to get the idea of. Extremely fast. And yeah, this being a, like, you can make your own marble game, really fascinating. I'm surprised they let that, you know, be that broad of a thing, but I guess that allows for more, you know, diversity in the games and everything like that. I also love the setting was as well depressing as fuck. Like, it is this, like, it is that exact same vibe they're going for of, like, you and your friend are outside playing marbles all the time as kids, and then the day is over, the sun is setting, you gotta go home, and it feels like you're leaving your friend, you know, and it feels like it's just, as a kid, it's such a big thing to have to, like, leave your friend to go home and everything like that, and it's such a whatever thing, like, oh, well, who cares, but I mean, as a kid, that's sad, especially if it's, like, you're on vacation or something, but that's not what this was supposed to be, but seriously, like, you know, and having that be then and now your friend is going to die after this is, you know, it's just, it's so fucking sad. Again, going with the Gganbu thing of, like, yeah, you always have that one Gganbu in the neighborhood, your best friend that you always share everything with in the end, but you can't have that in this. Cannot have that in this game. But yeah, I think, sorry, I'm circling back to Sungwoo's whole thing. Him manipulating Ali and everything is the scummiest shit ever. But at the same time, Ji-hoon does the exact same thing to Ilnon, so it's hard to say, like, you know, it's hard to call out Sungwoo of being the worst fucking person ever, because he is the worst fucking person ever, but our main character is equally manipulative and everything like that. It's just that he was doing it with someone who was easier to manipulate, and that's really the only difference. I mean, there's really no other difference besides that. Like, the only other difference is just that the old man was an old man, and that's really it. That, like, Ollie had more to live for. Like, that's the only reason why you would feel that what Ji-hoon did wasn't as bad, was because, oh, he's going through dementia, he's at the end of his rope. But at the end of the day, what they do is basically the same thing. They're killing somebody by manipulating them and lying to them. And in the end, at the very, very end, we feel a little bit better because the old man is able to die on his own terms and is able to let Ji-hoon go forward. Whereas Ali did not get to make that choice, and he, Song-woo pulled it out from under him, and like there's no way that Ali would have done that. The old man, again, didn't have as much to look forward to after this, so this was his big bang, and then he's gone. But Ali has a family to look after. He has all this shit riding on this, and I wonder how much of an epilogue we're gonna get with a lot of this stuff. Because again, in most death games, you don't see that shit, But in this one, I wonder if we're gonna get to see a lot of epilogue about what happens and everything with Ollie's family and with. I mean, to be fair, that's the main thing we want to see right now. Like, the old man's family, we've never seen. We don't really know anything about them, but. And yeah, the rules of, like, what are allowed in this are very strange. Like, when we had Deoksu and the other guy, one of two of his, like, lackeys that had any, like, distinct look at all, and they both died in this episode. But, yeah, when they were, like, playing the game, and then Deoksu had one marble left, and he was like, let us switch games, that's fair and that. But it's like, what the fuck do you mean? How is that fair in any way? You're switching to a game that you have a clear advantage in now. So, it's, I mean, like, I guess he would have had to have, how did that even work? Because he would have had to have gotten his marble in the hole immediately, and then he would have gotten 2 marbles, and then he would have had to have gotten one of 2 marbles in the thing, like, and then, it could have increased by there, but you would have at very least had to have gotten his very first marble in the hole, and he would have had to have played second to do that. Or he would have had to, and then on top of that, and on top of that, he would have had to have gotten one of his 2 marbles in there. That's insane. that's crazy to believe. But yes, I take it back. He didn't have the advantage, but it's wild that they would let them just or that they would force a game change, right? Like, everything else was like, well, it's up to the players what they want to do. But, like, that was just a straight up, like, no, we're forcing you to play a different game. And, like, it's not like the fairness changed at all, because it was still, how am I putting this? If you have 1 marble, you can still do the bet, and you can still win back marbles and everything, right? So, like, what's unfair about that? We also, man, got really overshadowed by everything else in the episode, but Han, what was her full name? I remember it was Han mainly, but Han Minyo. She got eliminated as well. Assumingly, we don't know for sure. I mean, we just heard the screaming. I don't think we heard a gunshot. So, something could still be going on there, but most likely eliminated. But it's interesting because they're not very shy about showing people get, shot in the head. Especially, like, even the people that we really, really love, they're not shy about that. So, I'd be surprised that they wouldn't show her being shot. Also, so they did catch the square-helmeted guy who was working with the organ harvesting team. Like, they did catch that guy, because I don't believe he was in the room or anything like that, and he doesn't have any blood on him or anything on him whatsoever. So, yeah, clearly, they caught him. Not sure how, but, I mean, it would probably just be whoever was working during those shifts that they were doing all that, so, makes sense. Like, who was, on that specific cameras and blah, 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 blah. Because they had to have timed all that so perfectly. Like, listen, we're going to go around, we're going to do all this while you're on shift, so you can, fuck with the cameras and everything. So yeah, the front man. Let's talk about the front man for a bit. Again, he's called the front man. Is that the front man for the South Korea organization? And there is multiple of these groups all throughout, whatever, like all throughout the world in different countries and everything like that. There's one central organization. Usually when you do that, it's America, because obviously. But, so maybe that's what it is. The central VIPs and the central, like, organization is in America, and then there's these front men for, all the other countries where they're running this. I think that makes the most sense, the most likely, that this isn't just a thing going on here, it's a thing going on everywhere. Man, yeah, there's plenty of countries that are living in a capitalist society that you could, get some people for this game. And again, I'm glad we touched on Sae-byeok having the whole like talk with Ji-young about like her saying, "Oh, I came over here from North Korea because I thought it would be better," and then her being like, "Oh, was it any better?" And her just giving her a look like, "Why do you think I said thought?" Like, again, very glad that we have that in here. There is so much like North Korean propaganda for plenty of good reason. North Korea is absolutely a terrible place, but a lot of it also comes from acting like it is drastically worse than living in a late stage capitalistic society, which it really is not. It's just a different kind of bad, It really is just a different kind of shitty. And I'm glad that we're having that amount of honesty in this. Because, yeah, there's not a lot of, I say not a lot of, but, like, again, I'm used to American media where they would never in 1,000 years say that. Because it's just way too heavy anti, North Korean shit in America. But I'm glad that we're having that. Yeah, people escape from North Korea to go live a better life. And is it that much better? No, not really. It just fucking ain't. Like, it's not that North Korea is good, it's just that most places are shitty. Most, especially late stage capitalism places. And just in general, I love that whole talk they had, because, like, again, they are both the young generation here. They don't have ties to a lot of other stuff. A lot of other people can be like, "Oh yeah, my kids," or my whatever. This reminded me of my childhood, where they are just here like, we are barely even 20, and we are already in as bad of a situation as the rest of you are, and that's just by life, by fucked up situations, by I'm in a country that I'm trying to get out of and I'm trying to get my family out of too. My dad killed my mom and then I killed him in self-defense and now I went to prison and got out and have nothing to live for. Like, it's just the world pushing them down and they're barely even 20 yet. And meanwhile, all these people are like, 80-year-old, 50-year-old boomers just like it's taken them that long to get to a shitty place in their life, and it's like, honestly, you should be lucky that you're in that old when you got to that bad of a place. But plenty of other ones have also been that bad for a long period of their life as well. So you can't exactly say that for all of them, but you get the point of why they're grouped together and everything like that. Like, they are the younger generation here, and like just their talks in general were so fucking sad of being able to, like, again, being able to just say anything to someone because one of you is going to die, so you might as well say everything. And they both don't really have anyone to confide in, but they both would have each other to confide in if they were able to go out of this world as well. Like, oh man, I that's something I love about death games as well. Death games have so much pseudo lesbian relationship stuff going on, of the, like, if we could just both get out of this together, but it's never gonna happen. Oh man. And I didn't think about it either, but this is also like, Ji-hoon is essentially here like having the death of his father figure here. Like, we talked about that before, about how El-non is like his father figure here in a very, like, again, a lot of times in death games you have a father figure who is like 40-50 years old or something like that, because the protagonist is like 20, and like you do something with that. But in this, I appreciate it being an old man, and it being that like grandfather sort of figure, where it's like it's barely even that it's a father figure, but more of like a grandfather figure. And it just having that having that figure get killed off here at the end, and now he has to grow up essentially like a child and like deal with this, like he's going through this like actual grief would. I'm assuming next episode is going to be a lot of that. And like that's a fascinating, like, they're just so good at the real life parallels in this. My god, the real life parallels are so good. I mean, you want to talk about real life parallels? Let's talk about Hanmi now. Like, her as well, with the whole, like, if you just are just a shit stirrer, it doesn't even matter if you are amongst people who are very like you, are in the same situation as you or whatever. If you're a shit stirrer, you're gonna get ostracized. That's just how it works. If you're a bad person, you're gonna get ostracized. It doesn't matter if you're in the same class, you're in the same group, if you're in the same whatever the fuck, you're gonna get ostracized. You can't just say, well, I'm also one of you. Now fuck off. And as well as, we're doing a lot of like the religious guy being like, oh, I'm super super religious, but I'm also ready to kill anybody, and also I'm like a huge sexist and like just terrible person. But then we also have Ji Young with her pastor father, who as well, that sort of thing, like, oh, he was always praying and praying and praying, but at the end maybe he thought that he couldn't be forgiven for that. But I think like this whole thing that we're doing with the religious stuff with the pastor and everything is going at that like sanctimoniousness of a lot of this shit in general. Religion is a very good way to point it out, but I'm not sure it's specific. It is pointing out religion and everything like that, but it is also just pointing out the sanctimoniousness of a lot of people, of like, I mean, even of the game, of like it's a fair game, it's a fair world and everything like that, and acting like, as long as you do it in my way, then it's, the right way. It is the sanctimonious way. It is the, the pure way to do it and everything like that. And just how half of society is run of just like if you're not doing it and if you're not living your life in this exact parameters that I have set, then you are a bad person and I don't like you and you're scum and you're poor and lower class and I look down on you and blah, 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 all that sort of shit. Really packaged into just that sanctimonious look in the world. Puritanical is, I guess, a better way to put that as well. Like, the very puritanical, Puritan outlook on the world and everything like that. And, I mean, as well as just, like, even a literalness of, like, how, like, dirty things are. Or, like cleanliness is seen as, like, pure and idealistic and everything like that. But, like, if you are working a job in which you get dirty, then people are like, ooh, gross, get out of here. You shouldn't even be allowed in this place because you've got dirt on you, you working man. Ooh. So I think it's time to start making big predictions here. Who is going to win? Is it just going to be Ji-Hyun? Or is it going to be... My guess is Ji-Hyun and Se-byuk. And I think that's it. I think it's going to be those two. And I can't think of a third person who would still live and get it. So my guess is that it's going to be those two. I don't think we're going to do a one wins in the end. I think we're going to do those two. That's my big guess. Could be way wrong. Could be just Ji-Hyun, but that's my big guess. And I think Sung-woo is definitely going to last up until like the last episode. He's going to be final boss, as I said, like at the very beginning. But yeah, once again, love the setting of the game they played. Absolutely, excellently well done at making them... I mean, like, it was so well done that fucking Elnon thought that it was his home, so... my god. And it's just great, like, all the scenes where they're talking and, like, having these big emotional moments are just, like, god, so impactful. So fucking impactful. Like, they really do a great job. Like, the games are not the aesthetic that is the saddest or the creepiest or the whatever. It's always the environment, but not the game is very, like, I don't know, a bit removed from that feeling. I don't know how to put it exactly, but yeah, that's it for this episode. Rip Ali, rip Ilnan, rip Ji-Young. I'm gonna miss you guys. Seriously. They were all absolutely incredible characters. Even Ji-Young, who got most of her characterization in this episode, I thought was gonna be a way different character. Absolutely incredible. Can't believe they made me feel so much about each one. 10 out of 10. Fucking love it. It's so good. Best episode so far. My god. Gotta stop at some point, so I'll see you guys for the next one. Until then, get the fuck out of here.